everybody. This is Joe Borlich, the Communications Director for GRRA, and this is GRRA's first podcast. I'm here with our Government Affairs Director, Joel Gillison, and we are lucky to be joined with Skip Alston, the Chairman of the Guilford County Board of Commissioners. He was just reelected as Chairman, been on the Board of Commissioners since 1992, also a really great realtor and a member of GRRA. It's an honor to be here with him. Skip, how are you?
Doing great on a cloudy day.
Yeah, right. All right. So to start out with, can you tell us when and how you got involved with local politics?
Well, I got involved really in 1983. That's when I became a realtor. When I started my company in 1982, I got my broker's license in 1983. And then I kind of joined the NAACP. And the NAACP at that time was headed by Dr. George Simpkins. And since I called him up and asked him, do they need someone that would probably be able to serve as the housing chairman of the NAACP, because I had my broker's license and I wanted to offer my service. So he told me to come to the meeting the following week. I came to the meeting and introduced myself. I was kind of new to the area. I just had moved here in 1979 from Durham, and not too many people there knew me, but a friend of mine that was the chairman of the housing committee at that point, he told Dr. Simpkins, since I had my broker's license and basically it's considered as a real estate professional, that if he would appoint me as the housing chairman for the NAACP, then he would gladly step down as the housing chairman. And that night he stepped down, I stepped up and started working with the NAACP as far as housing discrimination. Got involved in 1983 with Earl Jones's campaign. He was running for city council at that time. And that's how I got into the politics of it. Helped him get elected to the city council in 1983. Then started working with some other politicians as far as running for city council, running for county commissioners and some of the state house races. I was kind of the new guy on the block with a lot of energy, and really got involved in it and liked it. And then in 1991, that's when the county commissioners was redistricted, and they got a position where it was an African-American position in a district. And the president of the NAACP at that time, Dr. George, well, not at that time, I was the president of the NAACP. I had gone to the former NAACP president and asked him, who can we get to run for that position? So they tried to find somebody that would run for the position because that was the time when we had a lot of kind of chaos on the county commissioners. And we really need someone to try to represent the African-American community. And Katie Dorsett was the lone African-American person on the county commissioners. And we couldn't find anybody. And Dr. Simpkins told me, asked the president of the NAACP, if you can't find anybody, then you have to run yourself. But I didn't live in the district. So I had to go home and talk to my wife about it. She was like 8 months pregnant, and told her that Dr. Simpkins asked me to run for county commissioners, but we have to move into the district and try to find a house and put our house up for sale or rent it out. And she agreed to do it. And we moved into the district in December in 1991. And then I filed for the position in February, I think in 1992, to run for the position for county commissioner in District 8.
Wow. So can you tell us how you started in real estate?
Well, my church owned about 270 apartment units. And I had gotten I was just joined the church, and they had asked anybody on the board, in the membership that wanted to serve on the housing committee. I volunteered to do that because I was always interested in real estate. But at the same time, I was working for U.S. Shelter Corporation in 1981. I applied for a residence manager's job over in High Point, North Carolina. and they had a position open for first-time residence manager at this 72-unit apartment complex. It was run down. A lot of crime and drugs and all that kind of stuff was in the area. They asked me to come over. I was kind of unemployed at that time. I had worked with Metropolitan Life Insurance Company, and that didn't work out too good. So I went over and looked at the place and told them I'll take the job. And that was making right at about $800 a month. And they gave the job to me. I went over, cleaned up the apartment complex, kind of got some of the people there, had to evict some of them because they were doing some things that was not proper. Cleaned it up. My pastor, the Reverend Prince E. Graves, came to me and said, well, Skip, you cleaned this up. We got some apartments that the church owns. We might want you to take a look at those. And 3 months after that, I had a meeting with him, told him I would consider coming over. And he said, well, how do you want to do it? You want to work for us, or you got your own company? I said, I would always thought about starting my own real estate company. And he said, well, how much money do you have? I said, I don't have any money. But if you were to loan me $100 in order to get my telephone on and allow me to rent a space in one of the apartment complexes in the office, I'll take it. I can take it off from there. And he said, well, you kind of ask him a little bit too much. I said, well, Rev, I listen to you to preach every Sunday. And you said when a man asks for something and if he has the ability to try to do it, you would give him a chance. And that's what it's all about. I'm asking you to give me a chance to try. And he said, well, you're right. I give you 1 year and we'll allow you to manage the church's property. So he gave me a 1-year contract to manage 270 units. And they already had about 10 employees that was working in those apartment complexes. I went over, kind of turned it around, and then he gave me another 2-year contract. And then every year after that, he gave me 5-year contracts. So now, make a long story short, I've been doing it for 38 years now.
What accomplishments are you most proud of during your political career?
Really given the opportunity to serve the people of Guilford County and my district. When I ran in 1992, they took a chance on a young man that they didn't know too well. I had been involved in the NAACP, but I hadn't been involved as far too much politically seeking office on my own, but working behind the scene. My greatest accomplishment is that day that I got sworn in to service the people for the first time. But within that same period, in 2002, basically 10 years later, I became the first African-American chairman of the Guilford County Board of Commissioners. And that was the highlight of my career. And then 2008, I became the chairman again for the Guilford County Board of Commissioners, and 2009, 2010, and 2011. So I served 5 times as chairman of the county commissioners, and my peers on the board elected me in order to serve in that position. So that was the highlight. Now, again, when I came back after I retired in 2012, I didn't think that I was going to become a commissioner anymore. I ran for state senate, but I lost that race. And then when Ray Trapp, who took my place, in 2012, he got another job in 2016. And they asked me, 2017, they asked me to come back, my constituents, to see whether or not I can go ahead and take that place over again. So I've been back on the county commissioners now for this coming May will be, 4 years. And now this past December, I was elected chairman again within my peers on a basically unanimous vote. So I'm proud to be able to be back, be of service to my community again, and be able to serve as chairman of the county commissioners.
Absolutely. So you were a big advocate for the 300 million school bond referendum. So why are you so passionate about schools?
Because that's the base of everyone's success. If we get our children a good education, those students that are in those K through 12, that's our future of tomorrow. if we can plant some good seeds into them while they're young, they go out and get a good job. Like my parents always told me, and my pastor too, they want me to get a good job so I can support them. They can continue to get their Social Security. So, so I want to have a good base of smart-minded and good hard-working generations that can come after me, so that when we get able to retire, the older folks, we'll be able to protect our Social Security. We can continue to get our Social Security check. But the main thing is to make sure that they get a solid core of education that would cut down on the poverty. It would cut down on crime. So that we can get these kids a good education, they can make their own decisions on what type of life that they would want to live, instead of basing it on circumstances. So everything that we can do from K to 12, especially, to make sure that our kids get a good, solid education, then that would help our community, that'll help our city, our county, and the state, and this country, by producing and putting it's a question of whether you pay me now or you pay me later. Now, when they're building jails, okay, when we decided to build $100 million jail downtown Greensboro some years back, I forgot when we built that jail, 2007, 2008, somewhere in that area. They based on the jail population, how many jails we're going to need in this country, is based on the third graders in this that are in the schools today. Whether the third graders are 8 years old, how many jail cells they say within the next 10 years are we going to need? And they base it on the kids that are in the third grade. Because when third grade, you're 8 years old, 10 years from now, you're going to be 18 years old. Now, how many of those kids are going to take the wrong road and end up in jail? I want to decrease that. Okay, I don't want us to be able to get any more jails based on us calculating how many of our kids are going to be failing in elementary school, okay, in junior high school, and how many will be dropping out of school because they have not didn't get a good base of education when they was in those primary grades. So I want to do everything we can in order to put as much money as possible into education. It's a pay me now or pay me later situation. Either we give them a good job, a good education in our schools, or we have to house them in our jails. And I'd rather pay for it. I'd rather pay for it now and not build any more jails, but build some more schools.